Hey gamers, I'm Matt and welcome to my top 100 vintage board games of all time. Let's get started at number 70. It's a new game I added to the list, one of the very few new games I added to this list. It is Ready, Set, Spaghetti. Ready, Set, Spaghetti, you are basically have these strings attached to these forks on these plates, and you got these, you drop the strings onto the board, you throw these pegs all over the board that will catch and resist your string pulling because you're trying to get all the pasta into your bowl, and then you're rolling this die, and whatever icon pops up, that's your matching icon peg that you're going to remove from the game and hopefully free up your string to get a little bit more. But you may help other players too. Egad! This game is very strategic. Now, Luke from Down from the Attic, who I've was talking about before on my reviews here, he's a fantastic guy. He showed me this game and I was like, this is really cool. Because, and just like I expected, when we played this game, it is very strategic. Sometimes you have pegs that have no, string didn't get around it, so it didn't catch on anything. It's just sitting out there. And I thought, well, who's going to pull that one? I did, and so did others, because you don't want to pull one that may help someone else if it doesn't look like it's going to help you, so you'll pull some that won't even help you, or may help someone else who is way far behind. You're like, man, I want to pull that one, but if I pull that one, he may win. Let me pull this one first. Sometimes you're setting up to where that one, when that one gets pulled, you'll reap the benefits. There is surprisingly a lot. I'm really surprised how much strategy is in Ready, Set, Spaghetti. Now, unfortunately, the complete game I got, the guy had cobbled together pieces from another board game, and it sucks because those pieces were thicker than the ones that the regular game came with. So I'm a few pegs short with my game because of it, but it doesn't really impact the gameplay that much, and we still love the game. Fantastic game. Number 70 on my list. Number 69 was number 77 last year. It moves 8 spots up on my list. And that's incredible, folks, because it's a card game. I don't really like many card games, but Tshirttails, the card game, is actually pretty fun. Now, I mentioned this during my review that I had the Tshirttails board game as a kid, and I thought it was going to be awesome. And I remember playing it as a kid and thinking, this sucks. I hated the game. I should have got my mom to buy the card game. I would have had way more fun playing it. My nephews and I still play the game, and even though it's furry little fuzzy Hallmark looking animals, and they don't even know the cartoon, they still love playing the game. When I bring it, they go, oh, Tshirttails game, okay, cool. And they love card games too. But this is just a fun game, and again, a great experience of playing this at the table elevated this game into my top 70 right here at number 69. Number 68 was number 56 last year, so it drops, what's that, 12 spots on my list? That's because it's never probably ever going to get played again. It's my Wildstorm card game, set 1. You may not remember this. You may not care about this. This is back right as Magic the Gathering had come out and comic book cards were good. Wildstorm realized that, hey, Magic's catching on. Maybe we should turn our comic book cards into a little game. But they weren't smart enough to think of anything cool, so they basically made a game that's essentially battle. You have about 6 different statistics to choose from. You choose the statistic you want to battle someone else out in, and there are certain statistics that can help you pull more cards from your deck, but the rules are very, very simple. Now, the thing is, it's the only reason this stays in my top 100, even though I haven't played in years now, is A, I have a complete set, but B, I have so many great memories. So many great memories playing this game. I don't know who would ever want to play this game with me, but I would love to play this game just a few more times because it's just the memory of it. Now, it may not even be that fun of a game anymore, but I just remember collecting the whatever cards you wanted to be in your deck, getting those special foil cards because they were a lot, and when I found the last foil card, I had the best deck in the world, the most unbeatable deck, and that's when everyone started playing Magic the Gathering or one of its essential ripoffs, because Wildstorm came out with a much better structured card game after they came up with this Wildstorm set 1. But man, even though it gets no love and it hasn't been played in years on my list, it is still up there at number 68. Number 67 was number 72 last year, so that means it moves up 5 spots. And that's good for me because I love Ewoks, Save the Trees. Ah, yes, those Ewoks. Basically, it's a pop-up board. You open it up, the game's ready to play. You have these cool little plastic Ewoks, and you're turning 1 or 2 wheels, and it's basically Candyland. You're moving to the matching color on the board. Now, you can set traps for other players, remove obstacles from you, or try to keep turning the door open to the Tree of Life where you're trying to get up there. Because the first one to get up there and go through the door wins the game. Very simple, easy game. I love it, love it, love it to death. Honestly, because I love Ewoks, but I think those Ewok pieces are great. My wife loves playing this. Every New Year's, this is one of the games that we bring out. We just play for fun. Sometimes, I think this year I played it with my nephews. I cannot wait. My girls don't have to be that old to play the game, so I can't wait till they get to about the maybe 4-year-old spot, maybe even 3, if they can get it, and we can start playing this game because it is such a fun game, and I just love it to death. Ewoks Save the Trees, my number 67. At number 66 is Forbidden Bridge. Forbidden Bridge was number 71 last year. It also moved up 5 spots. And I guess I just always think it's better than Ewoks Save the Trees. I don't know why. Forbidden Bridge is one of those Milton Bradley adventure games where you're trying to go across this little shaky bridge twice to get 2 gems and bring them back to your boat. The first person to do that and escape wins the game. Now, we had to create a house rule because once the bridge shakes and your gem falls off, anyone on the bottom can collect that gem and put it in their boat. What we found players doing is letting the bozos go up there across the bridge, take all the risk, and they would just hang out at the bottom and wait for gems to drop, and they could win the game easily. So when that happened, I cut the rule to say, okay, you can only collect 1 gem from the jungle floor, but everyone must go across that bridge at least once, and that makes it a fun game to play. So if you ever find this game, which by the way, it still goes for way too much online, but if you find a decent deal, incorporate that house rule and thank me later. My number 65 was number 64 last year, so it only drops 1 spot. Amazingly, it almost made exactly where I had it ranked last year. It is Go For It. Go For It is the quintessential 80s game. What do I mean? It came out in the 80s, and it's essentially the 80s living. You're trying to get all the cool things from the 80s. It just reeks of 80s stuff too. You're trying to just get tennis courts and cars and houses and just junk, from the 80s. And it's so stinking fun. It's such a fun game. This is one of the games that I say celebrates your birthday too. You have a little player piece that you're all controlling the same pawn, moving around the 52 spaces, weeks of the calendar. But if the pawn lands and it's your birthday that week, your little icon's there, every player has to give you a gift from their hand, something they've collected. Really, really great mechanism. I love it. It's such a fun game. And of course, you're trying to collect everything, I think 3 of everything from the list. And the cool thing is, when you're getting close, you announce, I'm going for it. And you flip your card over because you're going for it. And that can signal the end of the game. Other players can choose to go for it too. But if they go for it and they don't make it, then you lose the game. So you have to take it's that risk reward again that I kind of actually like, and it's really helpful because toward the end of the game, it's dragging on. You're trying to get this, you're trying to get that. You're like, oh goodness, when does this game ever end? I'm going for it. Oh, he's going for it. Oh man, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, it's gonna be close. I'm going for it too. I've seen people come way from behind and win the game because someone announced they were going for it. So maybe I'm blowing this game up a little too much, but no, screw that. I do love the game. Go For It's a great game, which is why it's right here on my list. My number 64 was number 66 last year, so it jumps 2 spots up the list. It's Polar Dare. Polar Dare. You got 3 penguins, you're moving across these floating icebergs, and you're trying to avoid this polar bear icon, because if the polar bear hits you, all your penguins go back to the other side of the board. First player to get all 3 penguins on the other side wins. Fun game. Fun game. And there is strategy here too. Moving icebergs is a movement. Moving penguins is a movement. You want to move penguins on to other players' penguins. That way they won't move the polar bear on you for sake of hitting one of their penguins as well. But there is a lot of strategy involved there instead of just loading up all your penguins together and going for it. If you have all your penguins on one iceberg, you just proclaim to everyone, I want the polar bear. Come, bring the polar bear to me. Because every player knows what you're doing, and every player is going to, when it's time to move the polar bear, they're going to move them on you. Or move them towards you to where you'll have to take all your penguins and go home. Really smart game, really smart mechanism in it. Love the game, super fun. Glad it's on my list right here at number 64. 63 is a new game to my list, and I questioned whether I should put it on my board game list because it's a game, but it's a board game. Who cares? Screwball Scramble. It's so awesome. It's so awesome. So glad to get this from Norm from the Board Game Museum. Like I said, very nostalgic because I played this game, this exact version as a kid. My nephews absolutely loved it. We played it every day on our beach vacation, several times a day, trying to get better and better, trying to beat each other's time. That's the thing though, the timer's kind of subjective on where it landed. Where did it end right there? Oh, I was right at that mark. No, you were right at this mark. But man, we've gotten really good at that game. Now I'm going to give it a few months and play it again and see if I still have that talent. Is it something you forget over time, or once you beat it, you can know how to beat it easily every time? I'm also super happy because it's a sense of closure for me. I finally beat this friggin' game. For decades I thought about how hard this game was and I want someday to beat it. And even when I bought it, when I got it from Norm and I brought it home, when we were playing it, I could not get it. I was like, oh man, this game is tough. But then my nephews were getting it. I was like, well, I can do it too. And finally I figured it out and did it. And then I got it in record time too. Fun game. Screwball Scramble, my number 63. At number 62 is Dead Stop. Now this was actually number 63 last year, so it basically moves up one spot, and that's fine. Essentially where it was on my list last year. Dead Stop is a two-player game, which I'm shocked it stayed on my list this high because I didn't get to play it this year. I love this game. I just don't get to play two-player games that much. But in Dead Stop, you're basically playing cards, moving your pawn piece up the board to get more points. The further up the board you are, the more points you'll get. The farther back you are, you could lose points, okay? I mean, you get to the middle, you're at 0, or maybe close to the middle, you're at 0. And after you move, then you have to guess one of the player's pawns. There are these colored rings that you decide where they go, which pawn gets which colored ring, and they have to guess. And whatever color you guess, that little plastic ring goes on that little pawn. If you guess correctly, that pawn comes to a dead stop, and you stop that person from scoring. It's a great game because you don't want to just push one pawn up the board. Nuh-uh, because if someone's pushing one pawn up the board, I'm going to get your guys who are at the start because they're getting negative points. Those are the ones I'm trying to guess to give you some negative points. You don't want to just push one person up the board. That's not a good gameplay. You want to move them all up slowly at the same time so that when someone gets, one of the pawns gets guessed, then you're not losing that many points. Really smart game. It doesn't get much love in vintage games go. I don't think many people know how fun the game is. It's very simple in that fact. But Dead Stop is a great game. I just wish I could play it more. If I could, it would definitely be in my top 50, I think. But right now, I'll settle at number 62. And finally, at number 61, it was 67 last year. It moves up 6 spots. That's because Chicken Out is a great bluffing game. It's it's a racing game where you're playing cards, trying to get your chickens to crisscross the road back and forth. Now, there's a joke in there somewhere. I'm just not witty enough to make it up. But as you're crisscrossing through the board, someone may play a card and say, are you going to chicken out? Which means if they have the color that matches your chicken, it's going to go all the way back to the beginning unless you pull that chicken off the road and back to the last spot on the side of the road. But do you chicken out, or is that guy bluffing? Oh, it's rough to figure it out. I love the game. It is so much fun. Again, experience. Our times playing it, we have had more and more fun. The last time I played, I was like, this is just getting a better game. So I knew it was going to move up my list, and now it has at number 61. All right, gamers, that's all the time I have for now. Come back next time as I go through more of my top 100 vintage board games. See you then.